Hi out there in YouTube land, this is Jenny, back again for episode 3. Today I just really wanted to talk to you about what it was like to come out in late 1990s, early 2000s, what it was like to be disabled and trying to live my life in the closet. While we're doing this, just so it's a little easier for me, I'm going to be drawing with my Pentel Art oil pastels. I used these when I was in school, in college, as a stress reliever. Well, I've always thought art was beautiful, but in college it was really a saving grace for me. So even though my art wouldn't necessarily be worth millions, to me it was worth a lot because it gave me sanity. Because during the time when I was in school, I was going to school full time. I had over 12 units. I was living in the dorm by myself, and I had caregivers, but at the time I only had about 8 hours a day. I'm just trying to get the colors that I think I might be using, just so that it's easier for me to grab while I'm drawing. And for those of you that see this that are disabled and are wondering how I'm doing this, I just use my dominant hand, and I'm just using like a regular 11 by 14 stretch canvas. These are easy to grab for me. If you could also try if you need to have your crayons or your pastels thicker, you can put like a pencil enhancer on this as well, I believe, and just slide it in to make it easier to grab. Coming out in college, it was easier because, I lived 2.5 hours away from my family, so I didn't really have to worry about them catching me, Back in the late 90s, it wasn't as accepted as it is now to be gay or lesbian, or even questioning, and at that point I was kind of questioning whether I was bisexual or gay, lesbian, technically speaking. I was shy, and it was hard for me to get to know many people, so I went to the disabled students and I joined their club, and there wasn't much in the way of social activities until later in the year. So a friend of mine at the dorm said, "Hey, why don't you come with me to this meeting for the gay and lesbian club here at Cal State Fullerton?" And I was like, "Okay, I'll go check it out." And it happened to be a movie night. I remember meeting the first girl I actually really had a crush on there at the meeting, and she happened to also be disabled, and we started talking, and that's where we started to develop our relationship. So she was very sweet, and she happened to be her vision was very badly impaired. We would go have coffee or just talk on the phone. When I would have to go home, I would tell my mom. I would just use an initial of the girl's name, and then when my mom answered the phone, I would just say, "Oh, T's on the phone," and she thought it was a boy. So, because there was questions, because people with disabilities were not really seen as sexual beings. We're seen as asexual and not really expected to really explore any of that. But, whether you're sitting down in a wheelchair or walking around with some sort of different ability level, you're still a human being. And as humans, we crave connection. And that was always true for me. She and I dated off and on for a few months. And, she moved on. And I moved on. But during that time, we'd have to find ways to make phone calls when our parents weren't around or when family wasn't really present so that it wouldn't be awkward. Our families were our gift, but we also needed outside love and support. So for me, Cal State Fullerton it gave me the ability to really open up and explore that without fear of my family finding out, or because I didn't want to disappoint anyone. My whole life I've been different. I just wanted one thing to be normal, and if anything, that was me dating. I didn't want to add one more thing of difference on top of it. I'm already disabled and going to school on my own. I didn't want to risk being ostracized from my family, so I was terrified that my mom or my dad would find out and then cut me off completely, which of course never happened. I was one of the lucky ones. People that were in the gay and lesbian club were being kicked out of their homes and on the streets. They would stop coming to school because they didn't have the support. There was no way in the world that I was going to jeopardize my family and my living situation further by coming out. It just wasn't going to happen. And I dated a boy too. It wasn't just he. I dated a boy who had muscular dystrophy, and he was in a wheelchair and couldn't move anything from his neck down. And so our relationship, although we were in love, it was just, through communication, really, because, he couldn't move at all and my movement was limited. And he accepted at the time, being bisexual. He understood. I didn't really develop a physical relationship with anyone until after I turned 27, and that's when I met my daughter's father. Back into the college years, when I would come home for break, if I was single at the time, I would use the AOL. If you can believe it, back in the day, AOL was the big thing. I used AOL chat rooms to literally chat and find out more about people and try to reach out to people so that I wouldn't be so lonely. Because even though I was at home and my family was very supportive and I was very lucky for that, I was lonely, there wasn't a lot of social activity in my life, and it was just because I didn't have a car, I didn't have a way to get around. I was kind of nervous to use buses back then. Still am, to be honest. I don't really enjoy public transportation, so I was isolated. So when I wanted to reach out and talk to anybody, I would use the internet, and they had the gay and lesbian chat rooms, and that's how I would find people to just talk to. I just wanted to see if there were people out there that felt the way that I did. I was trying to figure out what I was really feeling, because back in the day I didn't really understand. I'm gonna go from brown to now, see if we can find another brown to add some highlights. I'm just gonna do a landscape today. This is is really just art for me. This is not for anyone else to appreciate or to like. It's just a good outlet for me. And so after I graduated, I had to come back here and live with my mom and dad. And that's when I connected with my daughter's father. Yeah, we dated for off and on about 4 months. Yeah. And then we moved in together, and then after we moved in together, it took about a year, and then I ended up pregnant. The ironic thing was, I had signed to get my tube side, and I told the doctor, you might want to check and make sure I'm not already pregnant, because I knew my cycles pretty well. And he said, oh, no, there's no way you're really pregnant, you're fine. So then I called my other doctor, and he did a blood test at the hospital, and I found out that I was pregnant. So I decided right then and there that I wanted my daughter, and I didn't know at the time she was going to be a girl, but I knew no matter what, if God gave me this child, that I was going to do my best to be a good mom. And her dad, at the time, was there to help support me, and we lived together. And then when his drinking habits changed, I decided to leave, and I went way back in the closet, like super deep back in the closet, and didn't talk to anyone, male, female, didn't matter. I just wasn't gonna talk to anyone anymore, period. Because I didn't trust anyone, to be honest, and I needed some time to get right in the head for my daughter, because she was a gift. She is a gift every day. And I just needed to make sure that I was right for her. So it took me about 5 years before I started dating again. And that was through the internet. And initially, I started dating men, because even though I liked girls, and I felt good around girls, felt more like myself, and female relationships, I was trying really hard to rebuild the family unit that I thought my daughter would need. So I dated men off and on. And then I was watching RuPaul Drag Race a lot during that time. Any kind of any kind of TV show that would show the gay and lesbian lifestyle in a positive light at all would be what I would really look for and watch. And that's when I decided to start looking online at women, because I knew in my heart since I was 9 that I was a lesbian. But at 9 you don't know what that means. I just knew that I was different, and I just wanted one part of my life to be normal. So that's why I tried so hard to be straight. But no matter how hard I tried, nothing really clicked until I started dating women. And then I realized that I was really a lesbian, and there was really just no going back from that. And so my family struggled with that for quite a while. They really did, and it was understandable. I completely understand why they would struggle with it and question whether or not I was really a lesbian, or they thought that I was just lonely and grabbing at straws. And what they didn't realize is that I kissed my first girl when I was 9. I kind of hid as much of my adult life from them as much as I could, which is why I was so grateful for Cal State Fullerton. It was that time in college that made me really realize that I was lesbian, but I tried to shove myself back in the closet because I needed to be there for my daughter. But then you turn 40 and your daughter's like 11 or 12, and you start to realize that you're going to be by yourself soon because she's going to go away to college and go live her life. And I started to realize I hadn't lived for myself yet, and I just really wanted something different. So I decided that I was gonna go online and start seeing if I could find a woman out there that I might connect better with, and that's how I found the my first serious girlfriend outside of school. Let's call her Lulu. Once I met Lulu, it all made sense, everything, my whole life, and I realized for the first time in my whole life that I'm a lesbian and there's no reason to hide from it. So I made the bold choice, and this is not how I would suggest that anyone come out to their family. I came out on Facebook, which was a major mistake. I'm using green, a darker green now, to kind of come in and try to fill in some landscape coloring. So after I came out on Facebook, my family was not okay, and it wasn't so much the fact that I was a lesbian, it was the way that I came out. So it was a struggle for them, and it was hard for them, and it was hard for me, and being your first love as a lesbian, of course it's not going to last forever, but in the moment you feel like it's your end all and be all. Your heart thumps and your hands get sweaty and you get butterflies when you see her, and when you say her name, you feel like you could never be without her, and it lasted, 4 months. But the one thing that I will say about that relationship is that it gave me the courage to come to terms with who I really am as a person, not just a mother or a sister or a patient, but an actual me, Jennifer Lawrence. Who am I going to be in life? That's how I came to terms with who I was and who I am. And I've had several relationships since then. And now I'm in this really fantastic relationship that I've been in with for almost 5 years. And her name is Vanessa, and you'll meet her soon. I'd like to get some information as to what you want to see next or anything. So if you have any ideas, please let me know. And thank you for the positive response that I have gotten. I'd like to be able to go out and show you what it's like to be at the mall or in a restaurant or grocery shopping is fun sometimes. So if you have any ideas or anything like that, let me know. Shoot me a message. I would love to hear from you guys how you think this is going. So here we are about 20 minutes later with the finished picture. Again, I'm not claiming to be Picasso, but it isn't about the finished product, it's about the journey, just like in life. So I hope you guys like it. I hope you guys like the video. Please share it and let me know what you want for the next video, please. Thanks. Have a great Sunday. Bye.